Good morning. Am I audible to all of you? Good
Good
morning.
morning, sir.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
yeah, audible, sir.
Good morning. Just wait. Just
Good morning, sir.
good morning. Very good morning. Just wait. Okay. Deep, can you say where we left in the last class? Anybody who can say what where we left actually, so that I can pick up the thread from there? Yes.
Sir, Newton's third law.
Yes. Can you say where from we have left in the last class? Have we completed chapter 4? What were there to be covered, or what we have actually? Can you say? Bhumika?
Yes, sir.
Where we left in the last class? What were taught to you? Actually, you see, in the Newton's laws of motion, these are the topics to be covered: force and interactions, Newton's first law, Newton's second law, mass and weight, Newton's third law, free body diagrams. So as far as I have remembered, probably we have covered Newton's first law and also the
Third law.
test. Eh?
So we
Yes.
were
And
just
third law.
discussing
Oh,
Newton's third law.
we have also covered Newton's third law also. In the chat box, somebody has read Sagar Rai up to 4.3, I think. 4.3.
Yes, sir.
4.3 means test your understanding, 4.3 maybe. So we have covered mass and weight, Newton's third law, and free body diagrams also.
No, sir. Only first law and third law.
No, second
We need
law.
to do we need
No,
to
no.
do
Second
Second law.
free body diagram.
and, and second law. Second law, because we have started Newton's third law. Somebody is saying that we have started Newton's third law. Maybe I'm just okay. Let me see but we have not done any question on it. Okay, so we have third. Just wait. Okay. Okay, so probably we have done Newton's third law, as I have told you, that if there are two bodies like this, suppose this is body A and this is body B, isn't it? Now body A interacts with body B, and that interaction can be measured, and that is what we call force. Now this A and B, A exerts a force on B, which we write it as FA on B. That is what I have told you, FA on B, FA on B, isn't it? Oh, sorry, FA on B, FA, this is how it is written, FA on B. Now this in response to the force exerted by A on B, B also responds. by exerting an equal force but opposite in directions, and that is which we write it as if we call this F A on B and reaction have same magnitude and they are oppositely directed. So X, when you put a minus here, the reaction becomes action, and when you put a minus here, the action becomes reactions. So there is no hard and fast rule that the that when A applies a force on B, that will become an action. When B applies a force on A, that will become reaction. We can take. Yes, anybody?
Sometimes your voice is breaking.
Oh, my voice is breaking. Why it is happening so? Let me be a little bit. Okay, just wait. Just wait. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
So can you explain the second law once again?
Okay, I will explain. I will
Okay,
explain.
sir.
Okay. Now, first let me explain this third law. So this third law, as you see, if we can consider the force of B on A, if we consider it as action, then force of A on B will become reactions. So it is up to you which you can take as action and which you can take as reaction. Okay. And the most important part of this Newton's third law is that probably I have told you, and the force acts on different bodies. Action and reactions, they do not act on same body. They act on different body. So that is very important. Because they act on different bodies, that's why action and reaction will not cancel each other when you draw a diagram, because action acts on a different body and reaction acts on a different body. So they act on different bodies. This is very important. Okay, different bodies. Okay. Now I have to explain. So this is all about Newton's third law of motion that you must understand. The only misconception is that people thinks that most probably action and reaction will cancel each other. They will not cancel each other because they are not going to be acted at a point on the same body. Now coming back to Newton's second law of motion. Now are you able to see my screen? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now Newton's second law of motion has three parts. You know that first law is sum of all forces is zero. When the net force acting on a body is zero, the acceleration is zero and the body moves with uniform velocity. State of rest is also a state of uniform velocity of zero value. So when I says that net force acting on a body is zero, the body is in uniform motion or moving with a uniform velocity. That is automatically the state of rest is also included. That is a very beautiful statement. So you see how I have stated first law, Newton's first law. The body acted on by no net force moves with constant velocity, which may be zero because you can take the constant as zero and that becomes state of rest, okay, with constant velocity and zero acceleration. But when your net force is not going to be zero, then it must be equal to something. So it will be equal to what? It will be equal to a product of two quantities. What will be the product of what will be those two quantities? One will be mass and the other will be acceleration. Because you know acceleration is a vector quantity, I have consciously not brought the momentum into the picture because momentum is a concept which we will learn in chapter 8 at a different time. Okay, but you know mass, you know acceleration, and on the basis of those two familiar physical quantities, I am now defining my force. So a net force acting on a body is not, if it is not zero, then it must be equal to something. Now what is that something? That something is a product of two physical quantities. What is the two physical quantities? One is mass and the other is acceleration. So if it is a product of two quantities, then there are three possibilities. What are the possibilities? Either they will be product of two vector quantities, either they will be product of two vector dot product of two vector quantities, or cross product of two vector quantities, or a scalar quantity and a vector quantity. Now dot product of two vector quantities will give you a scalar quantity, so that is ruled out. Now cross product of two vector quantities will be a vector, that it can be a eligible candidate, but because it will depend upon mass, and mass is a scalar quantity, so that vector product of two vectors are also ruled out. So the only thing left out is the product of a scalar quantity with a vector quantity. And you know, when a scalar quantity is multiplied with a vector quantity, it positive scalar, of course, and mass is naturally a positive scalar, that will enhance the magnitude of the vector by that times, isn't it? So that is how Newton's second law is formulated. So Newton's second law has three parts. So the first part I am reading: if a net force acts on a body, the body accelerates. Is it so? You see, if a net force acts on a body and it is not zero, then the body is bound to accelerate. That is first part. What is the second part? The second part says that the direction of acceleration fixes the direction of force. The direction of acceleration is the same as the direction of the net force. So looking at either at the direction of the force or at the directions of acceleration, you can know the direction of the other thing. Third part, the mass of the body times the acceleration of the body equals the net force vector. Because this net force vector is the product of mass and acceleration, so the for same magnitude of force, mass is inversely proportional to acceleration. What does that mean? That means if I have got two individuals, one a thin man of less mass, okay, here mass is less mass, okay, less m, okay, and then a very fat man, okay, of very big mass, okay, it has a big mass, big M. And if I give the same push to each of them, same F, isn't it? Net F, net force, that is what is called a net push. Suppose this net force is a push in this direction to same push. Now if I will ask you, who will be reluctant to move? Who will be reluctant to move? This man of big mass or man of smaller mass? Who will be reluctant to move? Yes? Who will be reluctant to move?
Less mass.
Less mass.
Reluctant means not interested to move, or it will be difficult to keep him in motion.
Big mass.
Big
Big
mass.
mass.
Yes. When you apply a force, the thin man will immediately change its state of rest and will try to move. But this fat man will resist with the force, will resist the push. Okay. So more the resistance, more is the mass. More is the resistance to change, more massive the object is. Less is the resistance to change, less massive the object is. That is very important. That is one of the finest definition of mass. Mass is a quantitative measurement of the resistance offered to changes, or offered to, because force initiates a change. So more resistance is offered by a massive object compared to a less lighter one. Okay, so this is how Newton's second law of motion, you see this mass is inversely proportional to acceleration. More the mass, less the acceleration. Less the mass, more is the acceleration. Is it clear to you, Newton's second law of motion? And this Newton's second law of motion, because it is a vector equation, it has three parts. All fx is equal to max, all fy is equal to may, and all fz is equal to maz. That is how, once I write these vector equations, that means I am writing these three equations. Is it clear to you? Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is how we have taken Newton's second law, third law, all the laws. Now, these Newton's laws of motion also gives answer to questions. Now, can you say me which answer, which questions answer lies in Newton's first law of motion? What is the question? If I will ask, I will get the answer in Newton's first law of motion. Can anybody say? What is the answer I will get? What is the question I should ask to get the answer contained in Newton's first law of motion?
About inertia.
What is force? What is force? What is force is that answer you will find out in Newton's first law of motion. Force is that external agency which changes the state of an object or state of a particle or state of a body, because unless force is applied, the body is not going to change its state, isn't it? So that is what is force. Now what is the question that you must ask to get an answer in Newton's second law? How much force? Now that is a quantitative measurement of force is there, that prescription is there in Newton's second law of motion. Force is equal to ma. That means if you want to find out how much force you have applied, then you must find out the product of two quantities. You must know the mass of the body and you must know the acceleration of the body. If you know the mass of the body and the acceleration of the body, take the magnitude of acceleration, multiply it with mass, you get the magnitude of the force. And if you know the direction of the acceleration, you know the direction of the force. That is how you can find out. Now, what is the question you have to frame in order to get the answer in the form of Newton's third law of motion? Yes. How force is generated? Force is generated in pairs. Force cannot be single-handedly generated either by an action or by a reaction. You cannot have an isolated action. You cannot have an isolated reaction. Wherever there is action, there is bound to be reaction. So you see how beautifully all these things are coupled in these equations. Action and reaction, they are together. They are always. You cannot separate them. As you cannot separate a North Pole from a South Pole, similarly, you cannot separate an action from a reaction. Both are present simultaneously, because in order that a force is to be produced, then action and reaction must be there. Is it clear to you? Is it clear to you? Don't keep quiet.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Respond. Right. Good. Now, if I have not told you, now you see there are certain test your understanding and examples. Now test your understanding 4.2. Have we worked it out? I think we have worked out. 4.3. 4.3.
4.3, I think we have to do.
4.3, have we done it or not?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Now example 4.3 I am doing. Now example 4.3 is a very simple thing. As I told you that force can be measured by multiplying mass and acceleration. So if force is given, mass is given, you can find out acceleration. That is the whole thing that is content. That means applications of Newton's second law of motion or understanding Newton's second law of motion. So that is example 4.2. Example, test your understanding. Test your understanding 4.3. Test your understanding 4.3. I think I have worked it out. Anyway, let me see. If you can remember, then you have to tell me so that I will stop it. Test your. So you have to make a table. Serial number, then mass in kg, mass in kg. Okay.
So it's done.
Done. Yes, that's why I was telling. We must have worked it out. Okay. So that part is there. So this is, we have found out the acceleration and we have ranked them from lowest to highest. Now you will tell me whether we have done the last test or understanding, that is 4.4. In this chapter, there are 4 tests or understanding. So there was a lady who went to another planet. Have we done that? I think we
Yes,
have.
sir.
Have we
Yes,
done?
sir.
Yes. So that, yes, good. So at that planet, the acceleration due to gravity of that planet was 19.6 meter per second square. So will it be easier for her to walk, and will it be easier or difficult for her to catch a ball moving horizontally with a speed of 12 meter per second? So that also we have worked out. So there was a last example 4.5 we have worked out, and then there was 4.7, that whether we have worked it out or not. Example 4.7. Then I will tell about the test your understanding, and finally we will go to chapter 5. So example 4.7, just you will tell me whether I have worked out it or not. A car traveling in the positive x direction, a car traveling in the positive x direction makes an emergency stop. The x component of the net force acting on it is the net force, because the car is moving in the x direction. So this x component of the force is important for us. That value is given, it is minus 1.83 minus 1.83 into minus 1.83 into 10 to the power 4 Newton. Now actually this is a vector quantity, okay, because in one direction it is there. So I have not put a vector like this. Otherwise I should have, this will make sense, because you can say, sir, if magnitude of the force should be positive, why you have placed a minus? So I should write this like this. Okay. So the car is moving in which direction? The car is moving in the positive x-axis. This is positive x-axis. And what is happening to the car? Can anybody say? What is happening to the car? Now this car was moving actually. Yes?
Decelerates.
The car was moving like this, but it came to a stop. It was with a speed, but here the car's velocity v naught x was not 0. V naught x has certain value, but after traveling certain distance, the vx is equal to 0. So the speed is decreasing. So the velocity and acceleration are opposite to each other. Because the velocity is in this direction, positive x-axis, this vx is along positive x-axis. Okay, because it is x directions is fixed, I am not putting a vector. So the acceleration must be opposite to each other. Okay, in the negative x-axis. And from Newton's second law, you know that the direction of acceleration is the direction of force. So your force is also applying in this direction. That's why you are getting this minus. And this is the magnitude. This part is the magnitude. This minus part gives you direction. So what you have to find out, what is its acceleration? That is, you have to find out. The weight of the car is given. What is the weight of the car? This weight that is acting vertically downwards, that is given. The weight of the car is 2.49. 2.49 into 2.49 into 10 to the power 4 Newton. This is what is the weight of the car. And you know, weight is the magnitude of this vector. W is equal to mg, because weight is a force of a body possessing mass m. And this is the magnitude equation. So I can write my mg here. So W is equal to mg. Okay, and from Newton's second law, you know this fx, the net fx is equal to max. This fx magnitude is equal to mass into ax. And he has asked me, the question has asked me to find out ax. So ax is equal to this net magnitude of the net force, divided by the mass. And where I will get the mass? I will get the mass from this equation. Mass is equal to W by Z. Z I know, that is 9.8 meter per second square. So I will get a value. And that value, if I will calculate, I will get 2540 kg. Okay. This is 2540 kg. Now I will put this mass in these equations because I have the magnitude as 1.83 into 10 to the power 4 Newton and my mass as 2540 kg. So I will get the equations in meter per second square. Okay. So, and if I do the calculation, I will get the magnitude of the acceleration as 7.20. 7.20. So this is the magnitude of the acceleration. So my actual acceleration, if you like, you can put a vector, but you have to understand that I am dealing with a vector. So normally in the x component or on one-dimensional motion, I am not putting vector. So when I write this ax, this is a vector. So that's why this minus is there. This may put you a little bit of confusion, but this is my magnitude only. That's why I put 7.20 I have written. Okay. So my actual acceleration will be minus 7.20 meter per second square. That means its magnitude is 7.20 and its direction is opposite to the direction of motion of the car. So this is your example 4.7. So now we have worked out example 4.5, example 4.7, test your understanding 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. And we have already covered all these topics: force and interactions, Newton's first law, Newton's second law, mass and weight, Newton's third law, and free body diagrams we have covered or not. Can anybody say whether we have covered free body diagrams or not? If we have already covered, then we will go to chapter 5. Otherwise, I will spend some time on free body diagrams. Can anybody say whether we have covered free body diagrams or not?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir, not covered.
Whether we have completed free, yeah?
No, sir, not covered.
No, sir, not.
No, sir.
Not covered. Okay. Now, free body diagram is a very interesting, very handy tool in doing questions on mechanics, especially Newton's laws of motion. So what is this? This is how it is important. I will tell you. Just wait, why it is not clearing the frame. Okay. So then there are assignment exercises, 3 assignment exercises. First, let me take this free body diagram. Okay. So the last part of this chapter is 4.6. Okay, 4.6. And the title of the topic is free body diagrams. Free body diagrams. Free body diagrams. Free body diagrams. Okay. Now there are 3 points to note. Number 1, why should we draw free body diagram? So I am writing FBD means free body diagram. FBD, why should we draw free body diagram of a numerical or a problem? FBD help identify, because if we draw FBD, then we can identify, because that will implies identification of a relevant. You will see how I will apply this and you will understand. Identification of relevant forces, because in a problem many bodies will be there, many types of forces will be there. So if you draw a free body diagram, then you will be able to identify the forces. So identification of relevant forces. Relevant means those which are useful or helpful to you. Okay, relevant forces. Relevant forces. Okay, and so that is how we should use FBD. Now, what should we do? So, FBD applies to a specific body. I will tell you what does that means. FBD applies to specific body. Applies to specific body. Applies to specific, fixed, specific body. Okay, because Newton's first law and second law are applied to a specific body, and third, only forces acting on the body matter. Only forces, because the free body diagram of a body, when you are drawing, then only forces acting on that body are relevant. These relevant forces. Who are the relevant forces? Only those forces, only force acting on the bodies are relevant. Only force acting on the specific body. On the specific body are on the specific body. What does that mean? I will tell you. Will take an example and I will show you. On the specific body are relevant for you. So these are the three important points you have to see for free body diagram. And what is the important misconception? Don't show. This you have to write in. Don't show action and reaction. Don't show action and reaction simultaneously. If action is present, then reaction must not be present. If reaction is present, then action must not be present. Don't show action and reaction together. Because why you cannot show action and reaction together? Can anybody say? Why you cannot show action and reaction together in a free body diagram?
So because they will cancel out.
Yes, very good, very good. Because you are drawing the free body diagram of a single body, how can you show action and reaction together? Because if you show action and reaction together, you are talking of two bodies, but you are drawing the diagram, free body diagram of a single body. So you cannot show action and reaction together. That is very important. Okay. So now suppose I want to example. Suppose I am standing on a platform. I am standing on a horizontal surface like this. And now I want to draw the free body diagram. How many bodies are there? Can anybody say? How many bodies are there? How many bodies are there in this simplest type of problem? Three bodies are there. One is earth. The other is the surface where I am standing. And the third is me. This is second is surface, horizontal surface where I am standing. And then me or you, whosoever may be. So there are three bodies. Now you want to, suppose a question is there. The question is, find out the normal force of the man of mass 60 kg. Suppose this was the problem. It's the simplest type of problem. Did you see the problem? Find out the normal force. I am not talking normal reaction. I am telling normal force. So mind my word, also very important. find out the normal force exerted by a man of mass 60 kg standing on a horizontal surface, and you have to find it out. So you have to find out the normal force of what? Normal force of the individual or the person. So you have to draw the free body diagram of the person. So for you, now surface and earth are immaterial. So for you, the important is the person, FBD for person. So free body diagram for person. First I will write it like this, free body diagram for person. And what is this? This diagram is called schematic diagram. So that first there is a statement of the problem, which you can translate it into a schematic diagram, which I have done. Then I will draw the free body diagram. The first step of free body diagram is to identify the body. I have identified. I have rejected this surface. I have rejected this earth, and I have spotted this person. So a free body diagram for person. Now the second step is reduce the person to a point. So now I have reduced the person to a point. So my person has become a point. Now draw the coordinate axis. So I have drawn the coordinate axis. This is my x-axis. I can also expand it like this. And this is my y-axis. I have drawn that is second step. Third step, identify the relevant forces that is acting on the specific body. Okay, what are the forces? How can you identify? You have to ask questions. If you are correctly asking the question, then you can identify the forces carefully. Which force exact? So suppose I will identify a force, let us assume weight. So where there is weight, who is exerting this weight? Earth. Earth is pulling the person vertically downwards. So the weight is acting on the person. Actually, this is a force, but I will not represent it with a vector because my direction is fixed. So I will only write a W so that you can understand that it is acting vertically downwards in the negative y-axis. So W is equal to mg. This is one force which is being exerted by the earth. Okay, on the person. Remember, on the person. Now the person is standing on the surface and applying an action on the surface. Okay, so there is an action of the person, and that is a force like this, and the surface is reacting, and that is what is a normal force, and that is perpendicular to the surface. So that I will show. I will not show this action, that is the force exerted by the person on the surface is not relevant for me. What is relevant for me? The force exerted by the surface on the person is relevant for me. So I will identify another force, and that is my normal force. I should have put a vector, but because I have fixed the direction, so not necessary. Now, which law I am going to apply? There are two laws which I can apply, either Newton's first law or Newton's second law. Now this body is in equilibrium. How do I know? Because initially I have told you that I am standing on a platform only, on a horizontal platform. So I am at rest. If I will be moving with uniform velocity also, in that case also you will apply Newton's first law. So I will apply Newton's first law. Newton's first law is how many parts? 4 parts. Sorry, 3 parts. X, Y, Z. But because I am dealing with a two-dimensional plane, so for me X and Y are important. But is there any forces on X-axis? No. So is there any forces on Y-axis? Yes, there are 2 forces. So which law I will apply? Newton's first law of the Y component type. So I will write sum of all Fy is equal to 0, because the net force acting on the person is 0, because the person is at rest. Now what is this Fy? Sum of all forces along y-axis. So how I will take this sign? N is upward, so positive. W is downward, so negative. So N minus W is equal to 0. So N is equal to W. So N is equal to W. So now I know that my normal force is equal to weight. So I will write, because I know the mass, I know the G, so I can write N is equal to 60 into 9.8 Newton. 60 into 9.8 Newton. So this is how I can find out the normal force. Is the normal force always equal to weight? Now my question is the normal force always equal to weight? Anybody? Is the normal force always equal to weight? Because now in this problem you see that the normal force is equal to weight. So I wrote N is equal to 60 into 9.8 Newton. So can I say that the normal force is always equal to weight? Yes.
No,
I am
sir.
asking.
No, sir.
No. Why no and why yes? Why no and why yes? Those who say yes, tell me why yes. And those who are telling no, tell me why no. Because you must provide a reason for your answer.
Sir, if we take a different
Sir,
case
no,
scenario,
because-
like
Hmm?
if we place a object vertically on a wall or press it vertically on a wall, the normal force will be equal to the force we apply to place it vertically on that wall.
Suppose you will take a wall. That means you are telling that I will take a wall. Okay. Then
Then we place a box-like object and we press it in the direction of the wall.
you will take a box, suppose like this, isn't it? You will take a box
Yes, sir.
and you will push this box like this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, in that case, there will be normal force because yes, you are
Yes,
right.
sir, but
Yeah,
it will
I
not
understand.
be equal
Yes,
to weight.
good. I understand. Now, yes, I understand that now the normal force and the this you are applying an external force like this, and the normal force is like this. Normal force is like this. So they will be equal. This F and N will be equal to each other, and it doesn't have any connection with this weight. Okay, I understand. Good. This is an example. Yes, very good. Normally, yes, this is right. So another example also I can take where, but here what is happening, you have very rightly given this illustration, very nice. But one thing, as there is no connection between this weight of the box and this normal force, so we cannot establish the relationship. The only thing is that you have given a very nice illustration, but somehow I missed the point, because this weight and the normal force here, they don't have any connection. So I cannot find out a relation between them. Okay. So where they will have a connection, that is important. So let us take an inclined plane like this, and then I will put a box on this inclined plane, isn't it? So now this inclined plane, there will be a weight. So the weight will be like this. Am I correct in giving this weight, or I am wrong?
Wrong, sir.
This is
Wrong, sir.
right or wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong. I am not right. I am wrong, because weight will always act vertically downwards, whatever the position of the object may be. So I have to show the weight acting vertically downwards like this. This I must show. Okay, so this is my weight. Okay, now I will show my normal force. My normal force, I will show it like this. Okay, am I right or wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong. Why wrong? Why wrong? Good, very good. It is not perpendicular to the surface. because the normal force must be perpendicular to the surface. So I have to draw my normal force like this. Now suppose the body is at rest, then what does it imply? The body is in equilibrium. When I say that the body is at rest, the body is in equilibrium. Now you see, does the N equal to W here in this problem?
No.
Is it same, equal or not? Bas. Is the normal force equal to weight? Yes or no? No, it is
No,
not
sir.
equal. No, how they can be equal? There are two vectors in opposite direction. Their magnitude may be same, but the directions are different. So the forces cannot be same, isn't it? So that is very common sense. Now this N can be resolved into two components. So now I have removed this N. This is what is called wiggled out in this book. W-I-G-G-L-E-O-U-T, wiggle out. You will come across this book many times that it is wiggled out. Wiggled out means now this N will be represented by two components, so its presence is not necessary. But how can I erase a written line? That's why I have marked this like this. That means this is no more. You should not consider it anymore. Rather, you should take the two two components. One components like this and another components like this. Okay, these are actually, this will be one along the along the plane and the other perpendicular to the plane. So that is how the two components will look like. Okay, one will be N cos theta and the other will be N sin theta. Like if this will be the angle theta, then you can show that this will also be theta. So the opposite, this opposite will be sin theta. So you can write it as N sin theta, and the adjacent will be cos theta. This one is the adjacent. So this will become your N cos theta. Now the body is in equilibrium. So you have to apply Newton's first law along the y-axis. So you will write sum of all Fy is equal to 0 because there is no motion or no acceleration along the y-axis. The body is at rest. So what are the two forces? You will write N cos theta. N cos theta upward, so positive. W is downward. So N cos theta minus mg is equal to 0. So you see N is not equal to mg, but N cos theta is equal to mg. So you do not get N is equal to mg. That's why we do not say it as normal reaction. We say it as normal force. Okay, N cos theta is equal to mg. This is one equation. Because the body is in equilibrium, but there is still an unbalanced force N sin theta in this direction, there must be a frictional force in the opposite direction of same magnitude. Otherwise, the body, the net force cannot be 0. That you must understand, isn't it? So the frictional force will be like this, F. So I have to write the Newton's first law in the x direction. So sum of all Fx is equal to 0. Okay. If this is my coordinate axis and if this is positive, this is negative, then I will write it F as positive F and this will be negative. So F minus N sin theta is equal to 0. F minus N sin theta is equal to 0. Okay. So I will write F is equal to N sin theta. F is equal to N sin theta. Okay, F is equal to N sin theta. So your frictional force N sin theta is now equal to the frictional force. Now this is quite interesting. I don't want to take this argument further because when you will read friction, maybe I will do so. Now you see, because this frictional force is equal to N sin theta, but N sin theta will increase with the increase of the value of theta and it will decrease with the decrease of the value of theta. So what will happen if I will go on increasing theta? Can you say what will happen? What will happen? What will happen? Just for the argument's sake, I am asking. So you see, what will happen if this theta will go on increasing? Can anybody say?
That slope will become the wall.
No, 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 no. Don't go that
Frictional
far.
force
I am not.
increases. Frictional force increases.
I am not taking an inclined plane like this so that it will become 90 degree and the object will fall like this. No, that is uninteresting. I will gradually increase this theta to a little bit. Suppose I will increase it like this. So what will happen?
Frictional force increases.
Now this ends because if I increase the value of theta, the value of sine theta will increase, the value of n sine theta will increase, the frictional force will increase. But this frictional force will increase. That means though the n sine theta is pulling the box downward, the frictional force is keeping the box in its own position by holding it back. That's why the box is not able to slide. But this will go on for how long? Can you say? This will go on how long? That means when you are increasing theta, sine theta is increasing, n sine theta is increasing, f is increasing. But this will continue for indefinitely, or it will stop at somewhere.
90 degree it will zero. At 90 degree, right angle.
No. It will not go to 90 degree. Have you seen?
Sorry, 90 degree.
Go to your home. Take a slanting plane or any cardboard. Place something on the cardboard and gradually tilt the cardboard. At some time you will see that your whatever you have placed on the cardboard will start sliding, isn't it? You need not go to 90 degree. So what will happen? Because this friction is a self-adjusting force. That is very important. Probably we have failed to understand that word, self-adjusting. That means whatever you are going to do, the friction will imitate you like a monkey. If you apply no force, friction is 0. If you apply 1 force, friction becomes 1. If you apply 2 force, friction becomes 2. If you apply 3 Newton, friction becomes 3 Newton. But there is a limit to it. And that limiting value of frictional force is called force of maximum static friction. You must have known this word. Maximum force of static friction. After that, the force of friction cannot exceed. So this n sine theta, when you go on increasing this theta, n sine theta will go on increasing, f will go on increasing. It will reach its maximum value at certain point. Suppose let us assume at theta particular, at a particular point of theta, this f becomes maximum. Okay. After that, it cannot increase. So at this point, what happens? The body will be loosened from it. The body will be loosened, and the body will start to move. The moment the body will start to move, then another friction takes place, and that is called force of kinetic friction. And that force of kinetic friction is always less than force of maximum static friction, which is written like this: force of maximum static friction. So you need not, if you continue to apply this force, then there will be a balance force, and that force will give an acceleration to this box. So the box will accelerate. Otherwise, if you give this amount of force only, now the force and the kinetic friction, applied force and the force of kinetic friction will balance each other, and the box will slide with uniform velocity. Whatever happens at that particular angle, that angle is very crucial, and there is and that can be found out. That we will do everything when I will teach you friction. So that is very interesting. So the basic idea is to show you that normal force is not always equal to weight. As your friend has given a beautiful example, this example, though here the weight and normal force doesn't have a relationship with them, but he has very nicely shown that weight here, this is an illustration where the weight is not equal to normal force. Okay, but here in this inclined plane also the weight is not equal to normal force. That's why we avoid normally the use of normal reaction, because normal reaction gives a misconception in our mind that if normal reaction, if you use normal reaction, then it will always be equal to weight, but it doesn't happen as we have given two illustrations. Now I will very immediately I'll come to the assignment exercises So maybe we have got 5 minutes more. So what are the assignment exercises? Let us go. One is 4.12. Okay, so let me write this question. How far I will be able to write? Let us see, so that you can take
So doubt in the diagram.
what?
So in the figure, previous question, free body diagram.
Where? Here.
Here, so the figure.
Yes.
So n sin theta parallel to surface.
When sin theta will be parallel to the surface, it will become a horizontal surface, and at that time the normal force is equal to the weight.
No, sir. N cos theta is n is the normal force. Then the two components are n cos theta and n sin theta. But
Yes.
n sin theta, how it's parallel to the surface?
Oh, it has to be parallel because because we have resolved our vector, one parallel to the surface and another perpendicular to the surface. So it has to be parallel to the surface.
Okay, sir.
Yes, one parallel to the surface, other perpendicular to the surface. Okay, so now we'll go to this problem 4.1 assignment exercises. I will write these questions. So let us see within the stipulated time whether I will be able to write all or not, so that you can work it out in your home. A crate, a box kind of thing, a crate with mass 32.5 kg, initially at rest on a warehouse floor, is acted on by a net horizontal force, of 140 Newton, Okay, now the offbeats questions are: what acceleration is produced? What acceleration is produced? And bit B is: how far does the crate travel? How far does the crate travel in 10 seconds? And there is another bit C also. What is its speed at the end of its speed at the end of 10 seconds? Okay, this is one question. 4.24. The upward normal force. The upward normal force exerted by the floor. Is 620 Newton on an elevator passenger. Who weighs 650 Newton. What are the reaction forces? What are the reaction forces to these two forces? Okay. And is the passenger accelerating? Is the passenger accelerating? Is the passenger accelerating? If so, what are the magnitude and direction of the acceleration? If so, what are the magnitude and direction of acceleration? Okay, at least you take the two assignment. Take a screenshot of these two assignment exercises. There is once more another one that we don't have time, so will discuss it in the next class. Maybe just wait. Okay, have you taken a screenshot of these two questions?
Yes, sir.
Have you? Yes. Have you taken?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Okay. So another question was left out, 4.30, that I will give you in the next class. Okay then. So I am stopping it here. So thank you for your attention. We will meet in the next class. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.